Hanzilla here. I wanted to show you my live set that I did last month with the Ableton Push 3 as like the core component. I did the video last month, or at least I shared the recording of my performance. It was for the LA Synth Club's 1-year anniversary. I was one of 12 performers, and it was actually the first time that I performed my own like original recorded work live. So the other performances I've typically done have been more of like improv sets and stuff like that. So I wanted to show kind of like the minimal setup. I hopefully want, like, as time goes on, I'll be able to build off of it, but I just wanted to get my feet wet. And I find, because I'm just, what's the best way to put it? Like, I guess just kind of getting started with the live setup. I didn't want to lug a bunch of stuff. So let's get to it. I'll show you what's going on with my setup. So probably the best way to do this is I'm going to have to go handheld. So we'll kind of go through each piece and then the routing. So you've got of course, the core of it, which is the Push 3, and it's working standalone. Of course, you could run it, especially with the short set that I had, you could run it with battery, but I'm going with the power supply. I have this, everything is hooked up into this power supply unit right here, or circuit breaker, if you will, or power strip, whatever, surge protector, there we go. And that way, like, my whole setup's plugged into there, and then that way I'm able to just kind of like break everything off. So I have it all in like cases, so it's real easy. Like, I think it took me max like 5 minutes to set up. So push, surge protector, the push, and then there's the auto boom, and that's just gonna add a little bit of like analog color. It's just the push going into that. So like all my sounds that I have that are like the loops and everything are going to that boom. And then of course I could do the fun little filter. One thing I wish it had is resonance control, so I could get a little bit more aggressive with it, but that is what it is. So then that boom runs into this mixer that I have. Now theoretically, I could have just done like stuff into the push, but I was having a little bit of issues with like arming like tracks and stuff like that, where I was trying to use the push only. So instead of taking the time to troubleshoot and everything, I just decided let's just do a mixer and not have to worry about it, because like I said, this is like an earlier iteration of my setup. So that's all running into the mixer, and then if you trace this third channel of the mixer, it's my pedal board down here, and that is for this guitar, which is my Telecaster. So funny enough, I tend to like to acquire all this gear synthesizer wise, but I'm really just happy with this single guitar is what I perform with and primarily play with. There's my pedal board, so you can see it. I've pretty much set it up like in the past like year or two and haven't really touched it since. I'm just happy with what I have. The tuner, the tube screamer, the big muff pedal, Julia chorus, the electro harmonics phaser, and then I've had these like from playing guitar in like high school / as a kid. Like I have these old Boss delay and reverb, and they work just fine for me. And then I've got this Strymon Iridium cab simulator that, I'll be honest, I have not spent a ton of time with, and I literally just have it whatever settings it is, and I don't mess with it. And then finally, the Morningstar MC3 pedal. So that is going via USB into the push, and that is where I get that is where I'm able to control like different scenes. So like once I pick up the guitar, I can just hit this and activate different scenes. And so that's pretty much everything equipment wise. And so yeah, I mean, you got pedal board. So it's what the guitar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 primary components. Of course, the pedal board has its own setup, but it kind of goes together as one unit. So, and then next what I'll do is I'll go through everything in the push. All right, so next up, we'll just kind of talk about with the push, like how the set's organized. Just very broad base, so you can kind of see. It probably makes sense, like if you've been working in Ableton session view, and that's how it is. So I basically have it to where it's all in one project. That way it's nice and seamless. And as you can kind of see here, this is my first track. It's here you can kind of hear the intro of it. It's the intro of the 1990 Ninja Turtles film, or like my own rendition of it.
Much more than just a series of small, isolated incidents. It's now a...
So I have it there, and then since it's in one project, if I scroll down here, you can kind of see all the clips that I have set up, and yeah, and then as you go down and scroll over, it starts into the next track. So I could be, having it going. And then I had it like this, and then like I just transitioned to another song by doing like a little theme launch. And yeah, and then it just goes on from there. So like it just as you're working through the song, it just goes to the next one. And what's nice about this setup is because it's standalone, so I don't have to worry about the laptop, and I'm configuring everything in Ableton as I go, and then just cleaning everything up and then getting it over to standalone. And I'm not going to go into like the real like details of that piece of it, but there is like some involvement in making sure you save it to a particular location, and then you're collecting all and saving, and then inputting that into the push. The downsides that I found with this is, of course, like you can't use any like third-party plugins or VSTs or instruments for that matter. But I found it kind of like a fun challenge. Like if I go back to my first track, this here, I've got everything going. But anyway, this particular analog piece, or the Ableton analog, it is actually Ableton synth. So I found it a lot of fun to actually mess with some of Ableton's in the box instruments, and then later as I was putting together the set, I realized that I could freeze some plugins. So like if there was effects that I wanted to use and stuff like that to create a particular sound, I could freeze that track, and then that would still be I'd still be able to utilize it. So I did find that I was using a lot of samples, so I have like some of my Prophet 6 in there. I think I have some stuff with the Prophet 12, but it's a lot of loop activation and stuff like that. And then for like the maybe 3 or 4 instances where I'm messing with like filter cutoffs or volumes or other parameters in the synthesizer, I am just using like Ableton standard stuff. So, and that's pretty much, that's pretty much the setup. So if you see it, it's just Ableton's launching scenes, or the push is launching scenes. I'm going through, the session mode just kind of keeps working its way, flowing down, and of course it just makes sense as you go. I can do filter cutoff, and then I'm able to get my guitar stuff going. I'm going to grab my guitar, and I'll probably cut this out because it'll take a second for me to walk. Boom, totally seamless. So I have the guitar, and And then, yeah, I just had like two variations. I had one very chorusy, like, I almost want to say patch, if you will, for my guitar. But I guess it's, I don't know what you would refer to that as, but, and then I just had my kind of more distorted setup. And that was pretty much it. And I just worked with that by using the foot pedal. Anyhow, I hope this helps somebody out there. I know it's not like real into the extreme details of maybe like some parameters on my set or certain settings, but feel free, go in the comments, ask me anything you like, and I'll more than likely get back to you and answer to the best of my ability. I always like to cop out a little bit, call myself a synth dummy, so that like if I don't know something, it's completely understandable. But I'm happy to, as you know, I always interact and stuff like that. So yeah, and the other thing too is you know, there's a lot of way more knowledgeable people out there than me. Like if you're seeing something with my workflow and you're like, you could have done this better or that, I'm all ears, because like I said, this is kind of like my core setup, and I'm a firm believer in just like getting something started and just doing it. So, you know, I'm really hoping to get more live shows in. I'm already kind of working in LA. And with that said, if you're in Southern California, let me know if you're interested in performing, because I'm trying to put together live shows at different venues. I'm already in talks with one. But anyhow, would love to hear like things you're doing with your workflow, and happy to just chat about all things synthesizers and music. Thanks.